All right. We're live. Okay. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're actually live streaming on Instagram today. It's a social media platform that I've really let go of and haven't paid too much attention to. YouTube and TikTok are kind of the main ones, but we're doing a live Q&A. I'm going to try and rotate between TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. TikTok is right now easily the best for me, but I want to go over different questions that people have when it comes to men's coaching. And the interesting thing is my relationship with people on social media has definitely changed. I basically just live my life and selectively show stuff on social media and all these sorts of things. And I used to be much more open with it. But on this one, I have some divorce and custody questions to talk about, which are big, and that's where a lot of my business is focused on. But there's other parts of my business that I don't advertise that actually do much more in terms of that. And if you don't know, I've been coaching for 18 years. I've worked with men for a long time. I mean, it surprises me on a daily basis that I've made millions of dollars at this point on giving advice to men and only doing that. And in order to do that, apparently you have to be good. And everything that I deal with is men's pain in modern culture. And I didn't really realize that until I started working on this book in 2022 that I'm now revisiting. Hey, my friends from Colombia are on. And there's so much to my life, actually, that I'm going to wave. There you go. Boom. Remolachas. So there's so much to my life that isn't public that I'm trying to figure out how to talk about more and all this different stuff. The other thing too is I want you to know that these are posted on YouTube and on TikTok, and I might start posting more videos on Instagram as well. It's just one of those platforms that I have not paid too much attention to, and there's just so many different things. So today is Friday. It is the 16th of August, 2024, and this is our live stream. I'm doing it on Instagram today. We'll see where it goes. It's early in the morning. We're going to have 2 calls for my groups today. So in my group communities, which I would recommend starting out with the Rising Man. And if you're interested in any of this stuff, the links are in my profile. We have a lot of calls a week. I mean, we have the most easily, hands down, the most complete community, all access system that exists on the internet for men. I'm sad that more people don't do this. Believe it or not, I'm a coach that really puts their entire life into people. And man, I mean, there's so much service. There's 30 hours of calls a week, every single week since 2012. And I started my communities in 2009. I mean, it's something that is very, very important. So let's get into this first question that we have that was messaged to me before. And this is exactly why I do the live streams, okay? It has to do with custody, and hopefully in this live stream I talk about some other things other than custody because I really do want to. And it basically says, I'm out of money, very common thing, okay? As guys, we get hammered in this, we get hammered emotionally, mentally, we can't see our kids, and we get hammered by attorneys. And then, a lot of times false claims are made, we lose our jobs, we can't mentally sustain. We're hurt in different ways. And so we're diminished in all these different ways. It's harder to make money. So he's like, look, I'm out of money. I can't afford anything. I can't afford your group. I appreciate what you do. I appreciate your content. But basically what's happening is I'm being parentally alienated. I can't see my child. And not only can I not see my child, there's a court order in place, hopefully a temporary parenting plan. This is if I read it right. A temporary parenting plan in place, and I don't know where she is. I don't know where my child is. I can't get a hold of anybody, and I'm being kept. Okay, what do I do? So there's a couple things in this that you need to understand right away, because you as a guy entering in this, we are entering into a thing. More Colombia friends. I'm waving, but Que más, hola. So one of the things that we need to understand as guys in this is that we have to understand a court system. We have to understand a court system and speak the language within it. We don't get to argue our case for custody or what is right or wrong in any way other than presenting it properly in the courts. And if we do that wrong, we are guaranteed to fail. Now, I just want to tell you this. You can fail in so many ways. I don't want to say there's not real corruption. There's not real collusion between judges and lawyers and all this sort of stuff. Those things exist. But if you have your back against the wall in a court system, your only chance of getting it right, and I've trained tons of guys to get it right. I mean, like if you start your case with me, you will most likely not lose. I don't want to give that 100% guarantee, but if you look at the stats, if you start your case with me, you're going to win. That is all statistics in a custody case in the United States where everybody says you're screwed as a man. And I've lost and I've won, and I learned a lot from losing, and I learned how to win, and now I've taught thousands of guys how to win. So you have to understand you're speaking the language of the courts, okay? And you're going like, well, what do I do? What do I do? Well, what you do is actually easy. If you already have a temporary parenting plan in order or a parenting plan in order, that is a court order, okay? If it is something that is agreed upon in mediation but not signed by a judge, that's different, okay? That won't get a contempt charge. Most likely, it depends on your state and county and all this sort of stuff. And this is what you need to do. You need to familiarize yourself with your state and county. You have to. If you don't familiarize yourself with your state and county, you are failing. Like you are setting yourself up to lose in a system which is against you. So in this, if we have a parenting plan or a temporary parenting plan that is signed by a judge, then we move towards contempt. And that is what you have to do, okay? If you can't find her or get a hold of her or any of these things, then you can't do it. But the more you work the way a court, speaking the language of the courts, the more you work in that system, and that system gets to know you, and that judge, who maybe the first time they saw you were like, you're terrible and da-da-da, Mr. Maeda or whatever your name is, you know, you need to do this, this, and that. You're going, oh my God, I'm getting screwed. I can't do it, da-da-da-da. The more that you build a relationship with that judge following the proper protocol, which is foreign. It's not like gossiping to your friends. It may not seem fair to you, but you can do it. You can learn it. And you don't have a black eye in the court already. You don't have judgments made against you. You can move and start building a relationship with that judge. And they're going to see that the mom is not being reasonable. The mom is not being compliant in court orders. The mom is being belligerent. And we go online and we learn all this stuff about parental alienation. We learn all this stuff about, all sorts of stuff in the courts, right? We learn all about it. And a lot of it's gossip and guys being pissed off. And they have every right to be pissed off. I'm not saying that. But we think that argument's going to work in front of a judge. It's not going to work in front of a judge. The judge is just going to be pissed off. Okay? Pissed off because you're speaking out of turn, you're not speaking in the right ways, and you're speaking in a way that is educating them about the law, and you're actually going there to get permissions from them about whatever's going on or enforcement, yada, yada, yada. So your steps are real simple. If you have a temporary parenting plan, you need to go file a motion of contempt in the court. You need to learn how to do that yourself, whether you have a lawyer or not. And in this case, I'm assuming you don't have a lawyer, and that's all right. You go to the county clerk's office. So you're going to have to go. You're going to have to do this. So whether you have a lawyer or not, the best lawyer in the world, you're going to have to put in a lot of work on this, and you have to move in that direction. Man, this is just another side of my favorite thing about Instagram is I have lots of Colombia friends. Hola, hola, ¿qué más? Although the Bogota people say ¿qué más? So not the paisas. So the thing is you need to start looking at how you can work your case. So whether you work your case or not, okay, whether you're able to have an attorney, whatever, you're going to have to work your case really hard. That means going to the county clerk's office, learning how to file a motion of contempt. If you don't have a temporary parenting plan put in order and signed by a judge, you need one. If you are having trouble finding her, you need to talk to the courts about how this can happen. How can she get served? How do we do this? What is happening here? I'm going to tell you also that just generally in all the different laws and whatever that go on in this whole thing, generally what's really important is that if somebody's keeping a child from you, no judge would ever agree to that unless there is some sort of protective order or restraining order in place. And if those things are not in place, whatever is going to be frowned upon on her. Now, I want to hammer this in a little bit. So I've been doing this a long time. And one thing I know about all of men's coaching, but especially in custody, is I can tell you what to do all day long. And I just told you what to do. But if you don't have the support of people having your back, you're going to mentally lose it. Because the courts are such an alien thing. Such an alien. My buddy just joined. Man, I wish I could watch your case this morning. But I have a private call right after this. And I'm wishing the best for you. So he just came in on the live. So, man, this guy's awesome. He's a guy that you should hire for advice. I don't want to say his name because I want to keep it anonymous because this video is going to be published later and all this sort of stuff. But thanks for doing the good fight. And one thing so this gentleman's about to go into his case. He's preparing for it. It's happening probably in an hour and a half. And court is rough. If you do not learn everything you can about your particular case, if you're not ready to work it, then you're going to fail. Like the courts are stacked against you in that way. Absolutely. You're going to not have the opportunity for justice to take place. So I just hammer that in over and over again. And this is why I have a support system, because I've known, like I've done this for 18 years, I've known that I can give you all the right information. Like in the gentleman's question, get a temporary parenting plan. It needs to be signed by a judge. Once it's signed by a judge, then you can move into contempt. You file a motion for contempt. If you don't know where she is, you figure out how to find her. You get a process server or whatever. You go down to the county clerk's office. You do it all yourself. You can't afford anything. You have rights. But if you don't know the language of the courts to have those rights, it's not possible. But here's the thing. You go down to the county clerk's office. They're an asshole to you. They don't want to talk to you. They say, we can't give any legal advice. You go on ChatGPT, it tells you one thing, then the county's website, then the different paperwork, and you look at different things and it's too frustrating. You go, man, here's what I know how to do. I know how to get up. I know how to go to work. I know how to be depressed. I know how to eat. I know how to work a diet. I know working the court system is so difficult. You need a support system. So it's so much better and easier to be able to have a support system and do that. Like today at 1 p.m. Austin time, we're going to have a call. It's going to last 2 hours. I'm going to talk with everybody. Everybody in the group's going to talk. We're going to talk about tons of stuff around men's development. But then it's 7:45 Austin, Texas time. We're going to have a legal assistant come on the calls, and we're going to ask them and go over different court paperwork. And in this tomorrow morning, same thing with a legal assistant. Okay. Sunday, we have another 2-hour call where we go over things. Monday, we have another 2-hour call where we go over things. Wednesday, we're going to have 6 to 8 hours of calls. We have group therapy. We have general coaching. We have coaching on all different men's development stuff. And here's the thing, man, and I want to hammer this over and over again. Men's problems in the modern world come up in every single aspect of it, and I've worked with guys throughout the whole thing, and from beginning to end. I know I'm making these videos for content for guys to be able to see stuff, and it helps get the word out and all this sort of stuff. But you know what I've done for 18 years is I've worked every day and not made content. Like I've made a lot of content, but I have worked every single freaking day with guys from beginning to end. You come to me as an addict with a problem, I'm going to help you all the way through, all the way for years. You come to me with depression, you come to me with issues around sex or sexual dysfunction or being rejected or wanting to learn how to talk to people. All of men's problems in the modern world are going to come to some very, very specific things that we see things like the red pill or whatever different men's movements talk about, but nobody really helps them, which sucks. It's one of the crappiest things. And so when we see men move towards this, it's really, really, really important really important to understand that the male problems in Western culture, one, exist, and two, we have a bunch of false, crappy solutions towards them. It's not a war of men versus women or anything like that. It's how we can come to our peace coming from a very specific form of pain, which has to do with worthlessness, has a lot to do with pain with divorce and custody, not being able to see your kids, being falsely accused, always being seen as somebody who is a threat in terms of violence and sex, not being able to express ourselves properly as men, whether that's through competition or it's through our desires. The politicized solution of it, whether it's going on the left or right side, are both false and wrong. They're not the real story of it. You don't need to believe in any of that in order to get help as a man. And it's really important. But every single man in our Western society has feelings of lack of worth, of being put down or humiliated in different ways. And again, it's not just to complain about it. It's not going like, oh man, feel bad about it. It's that is the reality. And that is the point of every single guy I work with, whether they come to me with issues around dating, sex, custody, being falsely accused of abusing their kids, going through massive depressions, addiction, alcoholism. The fundamental unifying problem is that there is no place for that man in our world. It's either be a fake alpha dude that's fitting an image written by somebody that you don't know that doesn't even have to be accountable to you, or it's attempted to be guided by this fake PC culture thing that's saying, well, you just need to open your heart and be good, which is all good things, right? That's great. That's great. But how? How do you do that if you're a war vet? How do you do that? How do you do that if you've been abused? How do you do that every time when you bring up things like true abuse, like violence, like being harmed, and it's diminished? And I see it over and over again. I was just editing a part of my book that I wrote 2 years ago that I never really finished, and it's talking about a guy who was kidnapped. So one of my clients, he was kidnapped, he was drugged, and he was raped by people. And I've seen him talk about this. And as he was talking about it, he just wanted to talk about it. He wanted to talk about, like we're in a space, in a therapeutic setting, in a group setting where we're meant to talk about these things. And on multiple occasions, women and men said, yeah, but that's not as bad as what women go through. This guy didn't even care about having anything political. He just wanted to talk about this horrible thing that happened to him and how it changed everything for him, on how he sees himself, how he feels safe, how all this sort of stuff. And it's, that's a rare thing. Women go through that all the time. Women, it's worse. And basically, they ganged up on him and bullied him to say that being coerced is a woman. And he wasn't prepared for this. Again, he just wanted to talk. But being coerced or tricked as a woman into a sexual situation is worse than being violently and brutally pinned down and tortured for whatever, a couple hours. And he wasn't even thinking about making this. And this guy sat there, probably still to this day, this was years ago, basically going, man, I think that's worse. I'm not trying to see what's worse or whatever, but like what I went through is like, this is not even part of the discussion. And that's where every single freaking man starts. Custody. Well, get over it. You can't see your kids. Oh, all the people that say toxic masculinity is bad because we say man up. We see those PC culture people say, well, just get over it. You're just complaining. Oh, now you're upset, right? We have vets that come in. Well, you just got to open your heart. You have to let go of the masculine and open to the feminine. All these things are great. I'm not saying they're bad. But when we basically are unprepared to deal with what I deal with on a daily basis with men, and we give them crappy advice, Jesus, man, what do you build? What do you build? What would you build if that was said to what we all acknowledge? And again, we should acknowledge female pain that has been felt. We should acknowledge it. I'm not trying to diminish it. But if we said, and our society did say to women many times, like when they went through some sort of violent thing, like, man, you're just complaining. Why is that bad? Why is that bad? It's bad because it not only hurts that woman more and builds more pain, gives more pain to her, but it will build a woman who has hatred that takes a long time to get rid of within her. It builds terrorism, it builds rebellion, it builds excising them from the culture. And we wonder why we have a culture of men that no longer want to be a part of our culture, that have hatred towards our culture, that want to tear it down, that want to be incels and disappear and not talk. Because every time they did talk, it wasn't heard. First off, they didn't even have a problem. Second off, when they did get the courage to talk about their problem, nobody was there to really listen to it in the right way. And the only answer that they have, that PC culture gives them, is basically going to the opposite extreme, which is a lot of the men's movement that is built by men who haven't really sorted through real pain, who haven't gone through it, that basically rely on all of what our society cares about: image, status, power. They get whatever looks like that, and they give advice from that. Like, if you get enough confidence, pain's not going to hurt you. If you get enough strength and power, pain's not going to hurt you. And then we lose this amazing human opportunity to go through the human experience, which has been with us for 300,000 years in humanoid form, and to be able to get better from that. We complain about man not having a rite of passage, yet we have all these rites of passage of pain that we can go through, that we can unify on as men, but instead we make up a lie about being tough and da-da-da-da. And then it gives the argument to the PC culture, toxic masculinity thing. Anyway, look, I'll end with this if we don't have any questions. First off, thank you guys for showing up. We'll see what I do with my Instagram account. I want to do these lives as much as I can, and I want to rotate between YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And TikTok has been really well, but I have many more active followers on that and so on. I want to talk about a bunch of stuff. I want to talk about being able to live abroad. I want to talk about being a dad. I want to talk about the internal exploration that you have. I want to talk about all the different things in my life which have had true meaning and that I have actively taught men on for 18 years, and hands-on, which is a lot of it that I no longer advertise. I think that those things are super, super important. And so these lives are kind of a way for me to free flow, because the guys on my call kind of understand a little bit more about the dynamic of my life rather than just what's pumped out in terms of media to sustain my business and so on. So there's so many different things happening. I mean, man, the working with indigenous groups, the travel, the documentary filmmaking, all this sort of stuff. And hey, you're welcome, man. No problem. I'm glad I'm able to help you. I can't do a lot of free stuff. I literally have no time. So these times where I can do this is the best way for me to give the free information. And if one day you do have the funds to sign up for my group, it'll help you. Man, if you're a guy and you have any of these problems in the modern world and you want a community that will help you with this, man, it will absolutely help you. Oh my God. Oh man, I need to talk to you. Te amo, te amo. So the groups and communities that I have will absolutely help you. They're designed for that. If you're in a court battle, they're going to save you. They're going to save you 10 grand right out the gate. It's going to prevent you from making huge mistakes. And these things are so beneficial. You can find out for the groups, wherever, all that sort of good stuff. But really, guys, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to branch out and talk about all these other things that I'm doing that have to do with so much. And even on this one, on Instagram, I have a different diversity of friends, or a lot of my real friend communication comes from there. And there's all these people from Colombia that I love so much that are on here. That is so great. I want to start talking about that. And yes, thank you for this comment. It says, thanks for everything you do and putting me in a better place moving forward with my case. It's so hard to talk about cases because we're always talking about it generally, and in the groups we could talk about it more personally. But I get it. You may not have the $147 sign up for it or whatever, it is whenever you're watching this, but it will save you. You'll make your money back like instantly. But how to make better content of how to do these things, I really think about. And then obviously, like, okay, if I went down to the courthouse and got the paperwork and did all this sort of stuff, that would be really good and be helpful for you, but it would only be good in the county that I'm in. And then the other thing too is that it's so hard to show, and that takes so much time. And I'm literally working 60 hours a week as a coach, giving people advice that drains me. So my first and foremost thing, my main thing, is working with guys and helping them where they're at, being with them and helping them where they're at. And then after that, there's all this other stuff, right? And part of that other stuff, one small part of it, is the media that I produce to help give the free stuff out there. So hopefully it's good enough. I'm pro at a lot of the stuff I do, but I'm not pro at making perfectly whatever YouTube type stuff or whatever that is there to, basically have you understand exactly what you need to do. The best thing I can offer is to be in my groups because I prefer working straight up with guys. If somebody wants to team up with me and make a documentary about all of this, cool. But until then, this is what we got. In any case, guys, thank you so much. Links are in the bio. I always, in the YouTube, in the TikTok, I put a time code of everything in here, of the different questions. There's usually like 2 or 3 in each one. And in this one, I think there's only 2 things. And then there's links for my group within that. Definitely subscribe to me on whatever platforms. If you message me, I'm probably not going to be able to get back to you. I got an inbox with like 100 plus messages in TikTok, and as much as I try and clear those out and answer everybody, it just fills back up. It's crazy. So the best thing I can do is get in my groups and join me on these lives and write me there. I'll try and get a consistent schedule on the lives. And like I said, I'll dance around between Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok on the lives just to see which social media platform goes. And I'd love to talk about different things. In any case, I'm going to go. Have a good day. I got to get on a private call right now. My buddy who's preparing for court, good luck to you. I'm so happy to be your friend and that you're in my groups and we've done all, it's just the coolest thing. All right, later guys. Have a great Friday.